The recreational deck of the Astral Convergence hummed with the usual evening activity. Beings from a dozen species mingled beneath bioluminescent panels that mimicked the light of distant stars. Yet in the corner booth, one figure sat conspicuously alone. Giselle's crimson scales caught the ambient light, creating patterns that rippled across her 7-foot frame. She nursed a plasma cocktail between claws that could rend steel, her tail coiled beneath the reinforced seat specially commissioned for her weight class. Around her neck hung the military honors of the Drakari Imperial Fleet, 3 platinum stars that marked her as a decorated combat engineer. She was magnificent. She was terrifying. She was utterly, devastatingly alone. Across the deck, a group of Zentarii males whispered among themselves, their antennae twitching with interest before wilting in fear. A Quellan merchant had approached earlier, his tentacles trembling as he stammered through half a greeting before retreating. Even the notoriously bold Kryn avoided her section entirely. Giselle sighed, a sound like steam escaping a pressure valve. Her internal body temperature ran hot, literally. At 140 degrees Fahrenheit, she could cook an egg by holding it. Most species found her proximity uncomfortable within minutes. The Drakari were engineered for volcanic worlds, built for environments that would kill softer beings, built to be soldiers. Built to be alone. Is this seat taken? The voice cut through her brooding like a plasma torch through hull plating. Giselle's head snapped up, her predatory instincts flaring. Standing beside her table was a human male, barely reaching her shoulder even while she sat. He wore the simple gray jumpsuit of a civilian contractor, his dark hair disheveled, his face split by an utterly reckless smile. "Are you speaking to me?" Giselle's voice rumbled, deeper than most species could comfortably hear. "Unless there's another stunning Drakari warrior, I'm somehow missing." The human, his name tag read, "Vito," gestured to the empty bench across from her. "Mind if I join you?" Giselle stared. In 3 standard years aboard the Convergence, no one had asked to join her. Not once. "You realize what I am?" She leaned forward slightly, letting the heat radiating from her scales wash over him. "My body temperature would give most species 3rd-degree burns with prolonged contact." Vito shrugged, sliding into the seat. "I'm from Sicily originally. Spent my childhood summers in 110-degree heat. This feels like a warm hug." He extended his hand across the table. "Vito Castellano, hydroponics engineer. Pleased to meet you." She regarded his hand with suspicion, then carefully enclosed it in her own. Her claws could have shredded his fingers with a twitch, but she controlled her strength with the precision that came from years of handling delicate equipment 10 times too small for her hands. His palm was warm against her scales. "He didn't flinch, Giselle," she said slowly. "Combat engineer, Drakari 3rd Fleet. Now that's impressive." Vito released her hand and leaned back entirely at ease. "I've heard stories about Drakari engineers. They say you folks can repair a ship's reactor core while it's still running hot enough to melt titanium. The stories are accurate." Giselle felt something unfamiliar, stirring in her chest. Not the usual defensive posture, but curiosity. "You're not afraid?" "Of what, you?" Vito laughed, a genuine sound that made several nearby patrons turn. "Why would I be afraid of someone who's probably saved more lives than I've had hot dinners? Those medals aren't for looking pretty, are they?" Giselle touched the platinum stars reflexively. "The siege of Kronos Station. Reactor breached during a pirate attack. I held the containment field manually for 6 hours while we evacuated 3,000 civilians. See? Hero." Vito grinned wider. "Meanwhile, my greatest accomplishment this month was getting the tomatoes to grow at optimal pH levels. We're not exactly in the same league. Food production keeps crews alive," Giselle countered, surprising herself by defending his work. "Without engineers like you, ships like this couldn't function." "Trying to make me feel better about my inadequacy?" Vito's eyes sparkled with mischief. "I appreciate that. But let's be honest. You could probably bend the support beams of this ship with your bare hands. And I get winded carrying a crate of zucchini." Despite herself, Giselle felt her jaw split into what might have been a smile, a display of serrated teeth that sent a Quellan server scurrying. "The support beams are reinforced durasteel. It would take considerable effort. But you could do it." Vito nodded sagely. "That's the difference between us. I work with fragile things that need gentle care. You work with impossible things that need someone strong enough to make them possible." They talked for hours. Vito shared stories of Earth, of a world with oceans and actual weather, of a species too stubborn to accept the galaxy's limitations. Giselle found herself describing Drakkar Prime, the lava flows that served as highways, the crystal caves where her people built their cities, the loneliness of being engineered for survival rather than connection. That's the thing about humans, Vito said eventually, his third drink making him philosophical. We weren't built for space. Hell, we weren't built for half the environments on our own planet, but we figured it out anyway. We're not the biggest or the strongest or the smartest, but we're too stupid to know when we're outmatched. Is that why you approached me? Giselle asked quietly. Because humans are too stupid to know better? Vito met her eyes, those burning amber eyes that made most beings look away. I approached you because I saw someone sitting alone who shouldn't be. Because those medals tell me you're someone worth knowing. And because, he smiled again, softer this time, because when you walked in you didn't look like a weapon. You looked lonely. Giselle felt something crack inside her chest, something she'd armored long ago. I am lonely, she admitted. I've been lonely for a very long time. Well, Vito stood, extending his hand again. How about we be lonely together? I know a great observation deck on level 7. Earth should be visible in about an hour. I can show you where I'm from. Giselle rose, her massive form towering over him. By all logic, she should have intimidated him. Her heat should have driven him away. Her size, her strength, her fundamental difference, all of it should have created the same distance that every other being maintained. But Vito just smiled up at her, waiting. She took his hand. As they walked through the recreational deck, beings parted before them not from fear of Giselle alone, but from confusion at the sight of the massive Drakkari warrior and the small human, hands clasped, radiating a warmth that had nothing to do with body temperature. In the vast loneliness of space, sometimes it took someone too stubborn to accept impossibility to bridge the distance between two souls. Sometimes it just took someone brave enough, or human enough, to smile back.